All right, this is going to be good.
Jim just called back.
Hey, we're going live. We're live now.
Woohoo! All right, everybody.
Okay.
Welcome.
Beautiful. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. Awesome. Beautiful. Perfect. Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Loving it.
Yes.
How's everybody doing out there?
I'm doing good.
Oh, yeah.
Who's this guy that's with us today?
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
Everybody,
Yes.
welcome to the Wise Guys and Ties YouTube channel. We're so grateful to have with us today special guest CJ Wallace from the Velocity channel. Thank you for being here with us today, CJ.
Thank you for having me, Joseph. Thank you so much.
You know what we're talking about today, CJ?
We're going to be talking about something very important.
We want to talk to people and give them an idea of really what's still available out there in the world of financing. This is sort of like it's almost like a newscast, and we're all anchors. You know, we're the talking heads to talking about business finance. And today, the title of the presentation is how to still get approved for SBA loans, as well as other funding that you can get today.
Nice.
This is good stuff. Of course, at any point, if anybody's looking to start working with us or they need help, our phone number is on the bottom of your screen, 888-524-9273. And you can also set up an appointment with us if you go to our website, wiseguysandties.com/schedule. So we got a lot of great stuff to get into, and I want to make sure that we're getting into it, of course. So
get into it.
Man, I just got so much to talk about today. I'm so excited. But again, who are we? We're the Wise Guys and Ties. Wise in the ways of helping you learn how to build, start, and grow your business. We actually help you get the resources you need to thrive and succeed, even in these hard, challenging times. And so right now, we're going to be talking about what you want to hear, what is going on right now today. So I want to kind of give you an overview of some of the things. We can go into this in depth later, but I just want to mention that funding that is still available even right now are these credit card hybrid accounts. We're going to talk more about that later, but I wanted to, right at the start, let you know what to expect. We're going to be talking about these accounts where you can get $150,000 in credit lines at 0% interest rates for 18 months. No docs.
That's you.
We're going to be talking about the EIDL and the PPP, and there's a lot of documentation that's needed for that. We're also going to be talking about building your business credit. Because, I mean, whereas with the credit card hybrids, you do need to typically have a credit score, a FICO credit score minimum of 680. Really, when you go to build business credit, it doesn't matter what your credit score is. We're going to be talking a lot about this as well. And we're also going to be talking about all the different funding options that are still available right now for your business. So we're going to come back to all of these slides in a bit. But really, we want to jump into where are we at today? We're going to be talking about some current events. It's April 21st today, right?
Yep.
So, hey, as of right now, every state is qualified for the SBA disaster assistance. This even includes all the territories as well. And but the conditions are changing rapidly. I mean, how rapidly are conditions changing?
Well, conditions change every second, but and especially the way it is right now, by the end of the day, I mean, there's going to be changes that have already rolled out.
Is it? Is there any money left for the PPP or the EIDL?
Nope, not right now. There's no funds that are currently left. That was all spent within 13 days, Joey. That was yeah.
Well, you know what?
Talk about a spending spree there.
Right.
$367 billion spent in 13 days.
Well, you want to know something though? And we might get into this later, but there's still a lot of. I mean, isn't it more accurate to say that all of the funds have been accounted for, but not everybody's been funded?
Right. Not everybody has been funded. So depending on who you actually went through, there's delays and
so we're going to talk about some of the possibilities and the latest news that we're hearing out of Washington and some stuff that people can possibly look forward to. So let's get into it. So for those who haven't been paying attention, and this is the first time you're hearing about this, we're talking about the CARES Act, the third fiscal stimulus package that has been passed. There's actually talk of 3 more being passed over the next, few months through the summer. But this was the one that was passed a few weeks ago and signed into law by the president, where I mean, talk about I mean, not just for business. I mean, that's what we're going to focus on. But what 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 was it? What was the stimulus side on the personal side? Do you recall what that was?
Oh, absolutely, man. They're talking about the stimulus checks update that we just got in. Now, this is on the Washington, D.C., and Congress is implementing, right? And they have a proposal, 2 proposals, okay, with some elements down each of them. And I'm not going to take up all your time by naming all of them, but I will let you know that if you're American, you're 16 or older, and you make less than 130,000 annually, that's what you're going to get. $2,000 a month. 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18, you know what I mean?
That's what they're proposing.
They are proposing this.
Whoa.
Now, what else? What if you're a family? Well, qualifying families, right? My goodness, I can't believe they're doing this. Qualifying families, for each additional child, they're going to get $500 for each child. If you're married and you make less than $260,000 annually, you're getting $4,000 a month. Yeah, unbelievable changes that they're talking about right there in Congress. And,
Right,
and it's not over.
But
you know?
with the CARES Act, though, everybody should be receiving now, or it's in the mail, the $1,200 per person stimulus check and $500 per child. In fact, didn't you have a plan to increase the amount of stimulus by having more children? Wasn't that?
That's right. That's right. Unfortunately, it's up to 3. So I have a plan of 12. But
So I could adopt you then.
there you go. Perfect. Yes.
All right. So folks, on the business side of this, the fiscal stimulus package had to do with the Paycheck Protection Program. Second package that was passed before this one was the emergency disaster or injury and disaster loan,
Yep.
the EIDL. So these are definitely the things that we're going to be talking about here. So the overview was that, CARES, why was it called CARES? Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. So they were trying to help distressed businesses, but the whole standpoint was to help the employees. So 75% of those funds had to be allocated to employees. Now, we've covered this in great detail. So I kind of want to make sure that, I mean, we want to cover this and let people know where we're currently at. But I do want to get to, definitely the funding that is available. But when we look at the debt relief program, debt relief, this was actually in the very first package that was passed, where they took anybody who had a current SBA loan. So people might not be aware of this, but if you had a current SBA loan, they suspended payments for 6 months.
Whew. Yeah, that's awesome.
So, I mean, if you haven't heard that and you're still, if you have a huge SBA payment, you can be paying $2,000, $5,000, $8,000 a month on those. To imagine, if you get 6 months of that you get forbearance, that's good. So again, we're just trying to give you bring you up to speed. If you haven't heard about any of this and you need to know, I mean, there's been several packages passed and there's current legislation that's being talked about. Also, a lot of people don't realize that there were SBA Express Bridge loans. Now, the original thought behind this were, while you were waiting for the EIDL or while you were waiting for the Paycheck Protection Program, SBA Express Bridge loan could give you a short-term amount of money. They talked about up to $25,000 to carry you until those programs funded, and that's still available. But it doesn't have to necessarily now, because of all the way, how they're always changing. We talk about all the conditions. You can apply for an SBA Express Bridge loan at this point without actually having an SBA loan that you're waiting on. But I mean, it's very important that you have a connection with the SBA. So it's not like if you don't have if you're not working with a loan officer or you don't have a relationship there, it's going to be very difficult to get those through. Now, the Paycheck Protection Program, oh my goodness, they set aside $349 billion. And folks, so this was to obviously help business owners continue to keep people hired and keep paying them. Now, who was able to make these loans? Well, the lenders had delegated authority from the SBA. They actually expanded this. I mean, so they rolled it out first with major banks,
Right.
but there was so much overwhelming that they went even all the way out to financial tech, online lenders, such as PayPal and On Debt, being able to get funding through them. Man, I think it was something. I think the end amount was there were 2,400 different lenders that gave out the $349 billion.
That's a lot.
So I mean, and the system was still overwhelmed.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the Paycheck Protection Program, are the funds available? Well, these are the current stats. Ray, would you like to take us through the current stats of where we're at today?
Well, yeah. So like we said earlier, 13 days, the PPP ran out of funds. Only 6% of small businesses in the U.S. were approved, which is 1.6 million per SBA. Basically, the average loan was also pretty sizable, $206,000, was the average size.
Well, so there, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there the average estimated number of businesses in the United States is 30 million?
30 million, yes, that is absolutely correct.
So I don't know if the math works out at 6% there, but I don't know. Looking at different, I mean, if it's 6% or whatever, there's still a lot of.
Oh, so out of businesses that are approved.
Right, but
So
still,
who applied?
but
yeah.
there's still millions of businesses out there who need that help, who haven't even.
Absolutely, there's a lot of funds, a lot of there's a lot of firestorms that started with big companies, which in the eyes of the SBA are considered small, less than 500 employees per location. And so I think that was one of the other issues, is that people didn't quite understand what a small business is, can still be fairly large from your perspective. They could have several locations with less than 500 folks, thousands and thousands of employees, and it's still considered a small business that was able to get some of this funding. So, I mean, where are we at now? Estimated $1.1 trillion is totally needed, or
well, no, the average loan amount that people received was 206,000.
Mm-hmm.
They went through that. They went through the money at an incredible rate.
$50 billion a day.
In fact, it's
a lot.
To be able to fund all 30 million businesses that need it, it's estimated that they need to put $1 trillion just into this program. I mean, just to make a dent.
Because where are we at right now? Let's see. Do you have an update on what the new proposed is that's coming up? Or? No,
I mean, because it's all changing. But they're proposing another 300 billion, followed by another possible 300 billion a few months later, and then maybe another 300 billion. But again, we're talking about Washington, D.C., where you've got the House of Representatives not really talking to the Senate, right? Well, they are talking there, and everybody's saying, "Oh, we're gonna hammer out a deal." Like,
it's been in there for 12 days. I know that.
They've been working. They've been saying that they're gonna get a deal for a week. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna happen or not.
I just got this alert to my phone. It looks like the literally 5 minutes ago, 4.8 billion relief package for small business hospitals testing just passed unanimously with the Senate. We were literally just talking about that, how it's changing every second.
Well, but okay.
But I mean, that's still that just starts the whole process.
That's amazing.
That's still a process.
Amazing.
It's still got to go to the House. How long is it going to be in the House?
And then
it's got to get signed by.
If the House comes up with anything that's different than the Senate's bill, then it has to go back to the Senate.
Yeah.
And then finally, if they put a lot of special, what's called pork in there, their individual special projects, like do we want to fund community arts center or something like that? I mean, no, I mean, so
how do you feel about that, though, that people like that when they're in this, certain representatives from certain states try to slip in things that they didn't get?
I think that because for one of the first times in a long time, people are actually paying attention because they're at home and they can watch the news. And so the lawmakers are under a lot of scrutiny, and people are seeing how dysfunctional that, Washington
Not
DC
like
family is.
2008 where things were just thrown through and nobody even paid attention.
It was just all rubber stamped through. And in fact, they would say, we didn't even read this, 10,000 page bill. We just, rubber stamp everybody's pet project and slide it through. But yeah, I mean, there's people that really are hurt. And you might be listening to us right now and you're saying, yeah, I'm one of those people. So that's why we are trying to give you an update of where things are at. We're talking about things that happen. That's great that the Senate has taken action, but you want to know something? The House of Representatives is not even in session.
Right.
There's no lawmaker, no representatives there. Not until May 4th is when they've been called back.
Wow.
How can they take action quickly if they're not even going to be there? But so the Senate has passed something. So I mean, it's just frustrating.
It is.
This game is. So we bring that up not to commiserate, but to say, look, there's a time when, if this goes through, that'd be great. It'd be great if they could all work this out and help. But still, even if they did, let's say they did and they rolled it out and they came out with the $1 trillion, you realize that that's only enough money to help businesses for like about three months worth of operating costs.
Right.
You can't, there's no amount of money that because the government still has to tax you to pull this money out to then give it back. I mean, it's all right. I mean, we're getting into political theory here.
Very, very detailed.
But no, the capitalism is the number one thing. So let's get this country up and running again. If you're in business, you need to be able to get up and running. So what we want to do is encourage you to take matters into your own hands, so to speak, and create your own economy. So the Paycheck Protection Program, here more stats. Chase did 14 billion, PNC arranged 9 billion, Key Corp arranged $7.8 billion. So now, if they are going to fund, this is a quote coming from Richard Hunt, who's the president of the Consumer Bankers Association. He says that all of this money is going to be gone in at most 72 hours, but the odds are more like 48 hours because there's such a backlog of so many people.
Because they're still taking on applications.
Absolutely.
The faster you can get your application and get yourself in line, they just take a couple months to.
So if you look at, I mean, a lot of these places, I mean, we've got big banks that have that take on applications, but the big banks are throwing in extra delay because not only are they going to make sure that you qualify for the SBA funds, but you have to go through their underwriting guidelines as well, which is going to slow things down. Which is why some people who've gone through big banks have been approved, but they're still waiting to be funded. The actual people who have money in the bank, who have money in their pockets, are the people who went through their small community banks, regional banks, or credit unions, because they actually were like, well, we're not going to wait for all the ink to dry on this paperwork. We're going to try and help these people right away. Because your community banks, that's exactly what they're community. And if the bank doesn't help you, the community doesn't want to see the local car dealership or the movie theater or the restaurants go out of business. They want to keep the community strong, so they move the money quickly. Now, also keep in mind that there's a lot of different online lenders that'll take applications, but really we recommend only PayPal and OnDeck because they're actually direct SBA approved lenders. Most other people that are accepting applications online, you got to be careful of this, are just agents who will then have to put your information through to a bank. So imagine a middleman who takes your information, puts it to the bank, and then the bank then submits it to the SBA, and so now you're like filling out 3 different applications.
Right. Yeah. So because to become approved to issue and underwrite 7A loans with the SBA, you got to go through a process, and most banks haven't done that.
Right. So you got to know who you're dealing with. So if your application isn't in, you need to get it in. But I mean, let's be honest. If you submitted an application today, you're not probably going to get funding because there's so many other people in line. You would need to be banking on that they're going to pass a stimulus package 5 and 6, even though they're working on stimulus package number 4 right now. So
this really gets into how can you still do this, get it quickly and effectively, And because I know there's a lot of folks out there that are just confused
Well,
on where to go.
I was talking to our broker, or our broker was actually talking to me. And he was talking about a strategy of using 2 different sources. So maybe applying at your local bank, but then also using some fintech like PayPal or on deck. Now, but here's the thing, you have to be able, if both applications go through at the same time, both will be denied because it'll be fraudulent. There's only one, you can only put one application through for your business. But you're just kind of watching both of them. And if one goes through, then you call the other and say, I can't cancel that, cancel that application. So he thought that might be the best strategy to get it through as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
And if you can go through a local bank, or if you have a broker, like say our broker, you can go through, and you can bypass the big banks, and because they're adding they're adding underwriting guidelines, I'm told, because they're overwhelmed. And part of the things that big banks do, if they ask for more information, they can slow down the process. Right. So
that's what I like about when people start working with us. We had a client that, he's filling out the information yesterday because he was saying he was going to a larger name, one of the big 3. And I just let him know. I said, hey, there's a delay. There's a long period of time. We can help you look at those 22 different ways of funding, because we normally look at 27, but I know you're going to get to that in a minute as far as what's been happening with that. But we have the ability to work with all those other options. So that's powerful.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, just an idea, like if you are applying, or if you're in line and all they took was usually what happens right now, the time frame we see is you put in an application, you're not even hearing back from somebody for 2 weeks.
Right.
So if all you gave them was your business name and contact information, on your screen is the actual list of documentation that you're going to need, right? You're going to need to have your annual payroll statement from the IRS, right? If you pay employees, if you have a 1099, right, you're going to need to have those miscellaneous forms from last year. You also need a driver's license for all of your employees, right? And a voided check ready to go for the account that you would want the money deposited in. So better get that together right now. Now, your company has to have fewer than 500 employees. Has been in operation since February 15th. We've covered a lot of this before. Once you add up all of your payroll expenses for the last 12 months, then they're going to take that average total, multiply it by 2.5, and that's the total amount that you're going to be able to borrow. Now, then they're also going to add in, if you also had applied for the EIDL, they just merge this all into one master loan. So normally when you go to the SBA, you've got to have proof, payroll, your cash flow, all of your bank statements, records for 3 years. You need business credit as well as your personal credit. You're also going to need to put up some collateral a lot of times. So they've lessened a lot of the restrictions that they've put on both the EIDL and the Paycheck Protection Program. So that is helpful, but still things aren't moving fast enough for a lot of people. So loan forgiveness, very important that within the first 8 weeks after, if you do receive these funds, you need to make sure that you are documenting how 75% of that is going towards your employees or their benefits or their medical, or and you need to show there's specific things that you can pay for rent, or you can pay for a lease, your utilities, right? You need to have those paycheck stubs, and you need to be able to get with the SBA lender. And so if you are somebody that did get that money, man, you need to be on top of this, because 8 weeks goes fast. Yes, and then if you don't, then this turns into a 2-year loan at 1% interest. Right. So, and this is the information, I just talked about. I kind of got ahead of myself in the slides. But then the EIDL, a lot of people don't realize that this program's been exhausted as well. There's only 50 billion in this one, right? So,
like that.
But they're looking to kind of refund that.
But I mean, there were up to $15,000 at 3.75% interest rates, terms up to 30 years. And so this was very useful, but you had to be able to show how your business had been negatively impacted by the coronavirus. So So how can a business use these loans funds? Well, with the EIDL, right? For the fixed debt, the payroll, accounts payable, you had to use it for all the bills, right? That's you had to show, well, you had to show either that you had a decrease in revenue or an increase in expenses based off of the coronavirus. So, I mean, for more information, of course, we put information on your screen. You can always take a screenshot, make sure you can check this out. But they waived the fees, so the application was free. Even though they said that the max amount you could borrow was 25, I think we found that only about the average of 15,000 was actually being lent out. But again, if you need to get more information about this, because we are anticipating that they will at some point pass something. Who knows when, right? It might be next year. Hopefully it's next week. But the point is that if they do pass something and you do qualify, to get your application in, if you're in line, stay in line. Don't pull out the application, because if you're in line, there's a good chance that if they do pass something that you're next, right? So let's go back to, we got a few minutes left. I want to talk about these credit card line hybrid programs. In fact, Ray, why don't you tell people about the whole credit card stacking method and all of the different, because compare and contrast, right? That to the SBA.
Absolutely. And I like the fact that you say, hey, if you're already in line, don't get out of line. Just imagine that this is a big entrance to the theme park. But then there's also those other folks that have maybe a friend that is, say working on the side there and able to get you in fast, almost like a VIP treatment. So the great thing about what's taking place right now is everybody's looking for the EIDL, everybody's looking for the PPP, everybody's waiting in line for that. And they're maybe sourcing many different lenders for those funds. But that's the thing, is there's so many other programs out there that are just normally there that have not gone away. Now, I do say that with one caveat. They are starting to now go away.
Ooh.
So there were a lot of funding programs out there, but as people are starting to utilize these.
We'll talk about that in a couple slides.
So like in the grocery stores, all of a sudden, there's the normal stock that everybody has, but there's an increased demand. So all of a sudden they couldn't keep up with supply. That's what's happening. So with these side programs, like the hybrid credit lines with what we like to call credit card stacking method, the banks are now starting to see that this is taking place. And so I really think within the next couple of weeks, these resources will be used up.
Well,
they're seeing
the bank. So like normally you'd go get a corporate credit card, right? And it'd just be really easy, like the way we know. But we're seeing that not just with the SBA, but major banks are putting a lot of extra underwriting guidelines. Absolutely. You can still get their stuff, but they're slowing down these processes. So if you have the ability to work with a broker that can bypass some of these underwriting guidelines and get straight to the actual lender,
absolutely,
that's really key, right?
And that's the thing too, is which business card is right for you. Are you going to take the bet on applying for this card from this bank? Well, the thing that we do working with our clients is we track the data, and with that data, we're able to see who is approving for which businesses in what situation. So we can take your profile and pin that up with, the top 5, 8 most likely to approve you. And then we do what's called the credit card stacking application process, where if we know that, say, Capital One is going to approve or do an inquiry that day, then we're going to do that last. If we know that another card is going to do a batch inquiry at the end of the week, we stagger it. So maybe 2 get applied this day, 1 gets applied this day, 3 get applied this day, and then the remainder get applied on Friday. That way, all the inquiries on the personal side land on the same day. Now, this is something that if you have good personal credit, you're going to want to utilize quickly, because working with us, we can show you over the next 6 to 12 months how to start getting that personal guarantee removed after you build your business credit.
Well, another reason we call it a hybrid, because you get the introductory rate of 0% interest for 18 months, like you would on a credit card with balance transfers. But it also works like a line of credit with checkbook control, where you can pull the cash out if you need. But pulling the cash out at the 0% introductory rate, this is what's powerful. And you can get up to $150,000 with this program. Even if you're a startup. I mean, the no doc means you don't need to provide tax returns, bank statements, right? We don't need a note from your third grade teacher.
So let's
Nothing
say
like
that your business has something that, so are you telling me that if, which I know you're telling, but for our listeners out there, if you have some things that have to be paid in cash, with our program, you don't have to take a cash advance?
No.
Absolutely. That's amazing. So
But-
yeah.
Wow.
You know, I'm glad you're here, CJ, because I want to ask about this. Next thing I want to talk about is our business credit builder program. And the business credit builder program is really powerful because it doesn't matter what your credit score is. So, I mean, like if we go back to the hybrid program, you're going to need to have about a 680 credit score, or you're going to need to have somebody who has a 680 credit score who can, you know, a family member or a business partner, somebody that wants to, you know, invest or be a part of your business. But when you build business credit, it doesn't matter what your credit score is. I mean, you can get $50,000 in lines of credit for your business in as little as 4 to 6 months. And so, I mean, this stuff happens fast, but I know you were one of our first clients from a year ago when you started building business credit. I mean, can you speak to our audience today, like how fast this works?
Oh my goodness. You know, our friend Jay Massey started his real estate investing career when he had a 390 credit score, personal credit score, and he was squatting. So he had zero money, and now he's like just huge.
You know, he said he didn't want you to tell anybody about it.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I'm just kidding. No.
No, but I'm saying, you know, this is like what you guys did for me. And I was in a similar situation.
Mhm.
Okay, my personal credit wasn't there, but I had a dream, and I contacted you all. You let me know what the program was about. I went ahead and I connected with you. And in less than 3 weeks, so less than 21 days, I got $3,000
On your
in
way
business
to building all your lines of credit together.
Yes,
In fact-
on my way to go.
In fact, you and all of your clients now
Yes.
do a direct funding through us.
I
Right?
mean, one got like 10,000 a month. One
In 1 month.
700,
In 1 month.
1 month. 1 month. Man, I gotta thank you, man. Thank you both
Dude,
for that, for letting me know about that opportunity. Man. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
I mean, let's talk about, you know, since we're on that subject of direct funding, because building your business credit is separate. That is a program that, you know, when you work with us, we have a software, we have a team that you follow online. We have a team of financial advisors. You follow our step-by-step program. You're working with us, you're working with our financial advisors and even our loan officers to build your business credit up to $50,000 within 6 to 12 months. And then after that, to go on to get another $150,000 after that. So that's the business credit builder program. But for a lot of our folks, and we don't even charge money for this. We have direct funding. We've helped a lot of your clients on the Velocity channel where you're from get a lot of help. And what you see on your screen are all the different programs that we've been able to work with. Now, we do have to mention that some of these streams are drying up, and you know, this is time to kind of read the lay of the land. Is there a famine coming? Are the streams drying up? Are the crops going to shrivel up? I mean, I don't know if we're going to go into a prolonged recession or a depression. I hope not. I hope everything bounces back. But what we're seeing right now, or Ray, I don't know if you want to tell folks, what are we seeing now that's drying up?
Well, not as far as the specifics of what's drying up, it really comes down to the reason that things are drying up. I like the analogy that you were saying as far as, you know, is this famine? The crops have been so fruitful for so long, and now it's harvest time. Now it's time to gain access to the capital, either leveraging what you've already built, whether it's cash flow, collateral, or credit on your business credit or your personal credit. There really is. Regardless if it rebounds quickly or not, it's not going to happen like that. So as all these resources get used up, remember, a lot of lenders are only allowed to lend so much because of the feds. And a lot of those lending is going to get eaten up by the PPP. And so when it's time to apply, that's right now. Now's the time to apply. So as far as things that, well, you got the updates on which ones we are currently,
Which ones have dried up?
yeah, which ones have currently dried up as of right now?
It's all the revenue-based lending. I mean, because there is no, I mean, revenue-based lending was all based off a projection of what you're currently making and what your future going to be making, but all of that's now up in the air. So they're going to have to retool and redo all that. But I mean, revenue-based lending, merchant cash advances, regular SBA loans, because your revenue was a huge determination. That term-based loans right now, which have a requirement of looking at your cash flow, your the last up to 3 years of your P&L statements, as well as SBA business lines of credit. All of these things have dried up right now because a huge component of determining your qualification was based off of your revenue.
Absolutely.
So with revenue-based financing, going away, there isn't much available. But
Right.
what we still have, and what we see a lot of people being able to take advantage of, is asset-based financing. If you have a 401k, if you have stock that you buy, individual stocks, if you have any type of security, really, if you have any real estate, commercial real estate vehicles, I mean, large
assets.
vehicles, not your car, not a title loan.
Like equipment, we're talking big tractors, or doing construction, bulldozers, things like that.
But I mean, even like say peer-to-peer lending, we've seen like Lending Club and Prosper approving folks with as low as 620 credit scores.
Ooh, yeah.
So I mean, there's still a lot of stuff out there, and a lot of people don't even know about this or where to look, which is why I encourage people, to call us at 888-524-9273, or schedule a time to meet with us. Go to our website, and when they do, I mean, we can help get them in touch, with our broker, and we can find. Not only are we going to find you money, but we're going to create a blueprint to not only see what we can find you today, but work with you over time to see how much money we can get you in the future. And as you were talking about, I mean, if I had to put a time frame on it, and tell me if you agree with this, I would say that within the next 2 weeks, if you're not taking advantage of opportunities with credit that's out there, those sources might dry up and go away.
Absolutely. Going quick.
Well, I want you to know that when you work with us, we have access to every legitimate funding program all in one place through our broker.
So it's like one-stop shop.
Well, right, because you might think like, well, I want to maybe look at, because people do want to shop around. Well, I want to look and see what's available online, or I want to check out this bank. Well, we can find all of that in one spot for you.
So for our listeners out there, a great way to look at what we do on the funding side of Wise Guys and Ties is, if you wanted to go find a hotel and you didn't work with a specific hotel, you would go to, like Expedia or something like that, or orbitz.com, where you could see all the pricing from everybody and see what discounts are out there. That's what we do on the funding side.
We're
Look at everybody.
finance velocity.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and that's what it is. You look out there and see what's available, what's best for your situation, and then you get to pick and choose.
What's great is with these funding programs, we don't charge anything, because all we're doing is making a referral to a broker, and they're going to go over all your interest rates, fees, and everything that's involved with all of these programs. So before you even pull the trigger, what this stuff costs.
Well, that's a great thing, because our listeners, sometimes they want to say, well, how much does this cost to get started?
Right. Well, if you're just looking for direct funding for an existing business and you have some collateral, or you have personal credit or business credit, or maybe you are one of those fortunate businesses that still has some cash flow coming in, there's funding sources that we can find, and we don't charge anything for that. We are just simply trying to connect you. We're trying to basically bring you into our network of loan officers and brokers to find you the funding sources that work for you. It's up to you to work with the individual loan officers that are out there and negotiate the terms. But what we're trying to do is make this easy, streamline it for you, bring everything under one roof. That's what we do here at the Wise Guys and Ties.
Absolutely, that's beautiful. So just like we said, you can come for free, check it out, and see what is available. And that is entirely up to you if you want to move forward with one of those programs or not.
And also, we do charge money for people who work with us with business credit, but we get amazing results. Go to our website and look at our testimonials of all the businesses that we've been able to help. And then we also thank you, CJ, for being with us here today. It was great having you here.
It's good to be here, man. Thank you.
Let's
Thank
not
you very much.
let's not be a stranger. Let's have you back again real soon.
Oh, absolutely, man.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, on behalf of myself and Ray Fleming, I just want to say thank you so much. Good night and God bless.